I abandoned my Christian upbringing midway through high school, and that's why I strongly support the mission of Mama Bear Apologetics. God has given parents the primary responsibility for the spiritual education of their children. In a previous era, it was not unusual for parents to slide that responsibility off to the church, youth group, or Christian school. But that is no longer possible. In an increasingly secular age, it's more obvious than ever that parents are on the front lines in preparing their children to face a society that responds to Christianity with puzzlement or outright hostility. Already decades ago, when I was a teenager, the pressures of living in a secular culture were severe enough to cause me to question the Christianity my parents taught me. And not just me. Out of my 5 siblings, only 2 remained Christian into adulthood. At the public high school I attended, the teachers were secular, the textbooks were secular, and my friends were mostly secular or Jewish. I did know a few Christians, but they were theologically liberal. When I visited their church, they stood in a circle, held hands, and sang the civil rights anthem, "We Shall Overcome." I was not impressed. They seemed to be merely putting a Christian veneer on secular progressivism. It was obvious that in my school and social circles, theologically conservative Christians were a tiny minority. I couldn't help wondering, why do they think they alone are right and everyone else is wrong? So I started asking, how do we know Christianity is true? Just that. Nothing about the problem of evil and suffering. Nothing about how a good God could send people to hell. None of the typical questions young people ask. Only the most fundamental question of all, how do we know it is true? No one could give me an answer. My parents are ethnically Scandinavian. On my father's side, my grandparents crossed the ocean from Sweden, and on my mother's side, my great-grandparents were from Norway. In these countries, the state church for centuries had been Lutheran. As a result, my parents were baffled by my question. Their mindset seemed to be, but we're Scandinavian. What else could you be if not Lutheran? My pastor had not studied apologetics, so he had no answers to offer. An uncle was the dean of students at a Lutheran seminary, so I hoped he would have some more substantial answers. But all he said was, "Don't worry, we all have doubts sometimes." Where is a parent to get guidance on how to address their children's questions about God? Mama Bear Apologetics is stepping into the breach. With real-life, down-to-earth examples from their own families and lives, they are making apologetics clear and accessible to ordinary parents. This book will equip you to get started with a basic awareness of the questions young people are raising today, questions your own children are also likely to ask.